bloody region of Middle East. Why local conflicts are so common at this part of the world? On regular basis, we have wars, uprisings, revolts, clashes, invasions. For example, when Lebanon started in 1975, Gulf War 1991, US invasion to Iraq 2003, civil war in Syria started in 2011, wars with ISIS, and finally several uprisings in Palestine, as called intifadas. Hello, my dear friends. You are very welcome at my channel World History Beyond Borders. I'm Dan Polonsky, and let's enjoy pure history together. We're not going to consider the whole region of Middle East, because it's really huge. From Morocco to the west, to Iran to the east. We're only going to talk about as called Fertile Crescent. Arabic word for it is Mashriq. It includes Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, modern-day Israel, and finally Jordan. To comprehend the issue, let's immerse ourselves deeply to the history. 100 years ago, the map of the region looked completely different. The Ottoman Empire still existed, and it controlled everything in the region, from modern-day Turkey on the north to Arabian Peninsula on the south. But unfortunately, the Ottomans entered the Great War, in other words, World War I, at a wrong side, at the German side. And by 1918, everything was lost. In October 1918, the Armistice of Mudros was signed between the Ottoman Empire and the Allied powers, the British Empire and France, and later the Ottoman Empire was partly occupied by the Allied powers. And finally, in 1922, the last Sultan left the capital, Istanbul, forever. And it was the end for the empire. In 1916, the Great War was still ongoing, but the Allied powers already decided to divide the Ottoman Empire immediately. For the future, of course. Sykes-Picot Agreement was signed between the British Empire and France. It was a secret agreement, and it determined that, on the one hand, Syria and Lebanon became the sphere of influence of France. On the other hand, Mesopotamia should have become the sphere of interest of the British Empire. It's worth noting that at the same time, Palestine was proclaimed condominium. That means that the Allied powers should manage it simultaneously. After the war, as you know, the Versailles Treaty was signed in 1919, which set borders in Europe. Regarding the Middle East, in April 1920, San Remo Conference was held, and it more or less confirmed the provisions of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, with one change. Palestine had been given to the British. The resolution of the conference determined the creation of several new, as called, countries: Mesopotamia, Syria, and Palestine. And for the management of those new territories, League of Nations had given mandates. Of course, those mandates had been given to the Allied powers, to the British Empire and to France, respectively. After that, several other agreements were signed. Unsuccessful Treaty of Sèvres, French pronunciation is Sèvres, August 1920. Successful Treaty of Lausanne, July 1923. Anglo-Iraqi Treaty, 1922. Those agreements clarified borders at the Middle East. Finally, Palestine and Syria were successfully created. Regarding Mesopotamia, things had gone much worse, because Iraqis, they were against foreign non-Muslim rule, and that's why Iraqi revolt started in 1920 against the British mandate. It lasted for several months, and finally the British had to invite an Arab king from Hashemite dynasty, and finally Kingdom of Iraq was proclaimed under British mandate, of course. It was a kingdom, but not independent kingdom, but a kingdom under British administration. And the main problem of that new mandate system was that the boundaries were more or less artificial, both ethnically and religiously. Not like in Europe. In Europe we see Germany, the country of Germans, Poland, the country of Poles, France, the country of French, and so on. In the Middle East, it was the opposite. And those new boundaries have been creating instability for many decades, from that time up to now. So let's take Iraq and Syria as the perfect examples for our analysis. Let's consider Iraq first. We see at least three completely different regions here. The first one is Kurdish region at the northeast, inhabited by Sunni Kurds. Another name for this region is Kurdistan. Kurdish language has names Kurdi or Kurmanji, belongs to Indo-European family, which makes it completely different from Arabic, which is from Semitic family. Kurdish lifestyle is also very distant from Arabic lifestyle. Also, we have Sunni Arabs. Their homeland is at the northwest of the country. The problem with them is that from the fall of Ottoman Empire, they always were the ruling minority in Iraq. And this caused a lot of conflicts, a lot of tensions between them and other communities, especially in Saddam Hussein times. Also, they traditionally have strong religious tensions with Shia Arabs. Those tensions are typical from Muhammad times, from the 7th century. And finally, we have Shia majority. It concentrates to the south from the capital, from Baghdad to Basra. Traditionally, Shia Arabs are the poorest, the most deprived community in the country, and that's why they have social antagonism with other groups of population. In addition to religious tensions and, of course, national tensions with Kurds. So you see, in Iraq, we have 3 totally different communities who sometimes don't like each other. For example, after American invasion in 2003, when Sunni Arabs lost power, some of them began supporting ISIS. And the main reason for that was that they had a strong desire to be against Shia majority who were in power at that time. In Syria, the situation is even more crazy. As you remember, everything started from the French Mandate. In the 20th, the French separated as called the Greater Lebanon, modern-day Lebanon, from several districts of Syria with Christian majority. The main idea was to protect the rights of Maronite Christians who traditionally lived there. In modern-day Syria, the most powerful community for more than 50 years is a religious sect of Alawites. They only comprise 16% of the total population. Some people think they are part of Shia Islam. Other people believe that they are non-Muslims. Their homeland is situated at the seacoast, at the Mediterranean seacoast. The main city is Latakia, a beautiful city near the Mediterranean Sea. The president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, also his father, Hafez al-Assad, all of them are Alawites. Just imagine, you are a small sect, and you would like not to lose power over a huge country. So you would have to oppress the rest of the population. And in reality, the Alawite regime is quite cruel. There were a lot of bloody incidents. For example, Alawite army killed a lot of people in Hama massacre in the southern part of Syria in 1982. It's just the most famous massacre, but there were many more. The majority in Syria is represented by Sunni Muslims. They inhabit in the central part of the country, whereas northeast is predominantly Kurdish. And finally, the south is mixed, but with Druze majority. Druze is another very interesting religious sect. They live in Syria, in Lebanon, and also in Israel. So you see, the country is extremely divided with four main parts. As for me, it would be more natural for Syrian Kurds to be united with neighboring Iraqi Kurds. Also, I think it would be healthier if Syrian Sunni Arabs would live in one state with Iraqi Sunni Arabs. What's your opinion about that? Please comment down below. How we can calm the region. So goodbye for now. Please like. Also consider subscribing the channel.